Good morning, everybody. I was waiting for it to connect. Good to see everybody this morning. We got Dave with D.E.S. Media with us today, and Steve and Jerry will not be here, neither will Shannon. They all have other things going. Well, Shannon was feeling a little under the weather, I think. But
he's down under, so that makes sense.
Yeah, there you go. He's just upside down is what it is.
And probably sleep also plays a part of it.
Yeah, that's true. He didn't say he was sick, but it was kind of like, he didn't feel real well. So I was assuming he wasn't up to par. So since Steve's not here, I'll do the rundown. See y'all who's here. Grandpa Rails is here. Good to see you. John and Stephen Wigwag is here. Oh, Steve stuck his head in. Well, that was early though. That was at 7:15. So Al Marr's here. Lynn McCurdy. Who else is here?
The train freak.
Steve Arnold's here. It's funny how Steve does this. It drives me crazy. Try to scroll through here and see all the names, especially all the early ones. John Tanzillo's here. Good to see you, John. Rob T-Man's here. Al Marr's here. Oh, I said Al, I think. John Schoolkill River. Good morning, John. Are you about out of your tax load, aren't you? Should be getting close to that anyway.
I actually got a return back this year for the first time in probably 5 years or more. I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
So
well, luckily, yeah. Mom and son train rail fans are here. Good to see you. I know I'm missing somebody. Let's see who else.
Did you get Lynn McCurdy?
Yeah, Lynn. Yeah, I got Lynn. I thought.
I think you did.
Yeah, you did.
Jason's here. Mark Pruitt's here. Good to see you, Mark.
Did you get Anderson?
Thomas, the post-war train guy. That's a new name I haven't seen. Welcome. Who else is here? Who'd you say, Dennis?
Steve Anderson. I heard.
Oh,
you say
yeah. Well,
Arnold,
you only mentioned him once. You only give Steve one mention because if you give him more than that, he starts taking over the show. Closet Branch is here. Steve's a great guy. We got to meet him up at Train Mountain, and I tell you what, we had a blast up there that day, just sitting and talking. But anyway, good morning, everybody.
You got Bernard, right? Did you get Bernard?
Yeah, I got Bernard. I got to get Bernard on the show one of these days.
Well, hopefully we didn't miss anyone. If we did, it was purely by intention, and we're trying to. No, I'm kidding.
It's Arnold's fault.
Well, it could have been by intention, but
if Heath is on, we can blame him.
Ethan Armitage come in, kind of there at the end, I think maybe. So
good to see you, Ethan. So anyway, Dave is with us today, and we're gonna grill him. So you guys have got any questions for him? Go ahead and stick them in the chat, and I'll try and catch them. Since Steve's not here, chat's gonna be fun to try and keep up with. But anyway, I'm gonna start Dave off with the question we always start with. How'd you get into the hobby?
Let's see how to get in the hobby. The major part came about 10 years ago, 2013. I found out that there's a local club starting up near me and checked it out, and the rest is history.
Oh, there you go.
They're HO. Right now, so this is their 10th year running. It's about a 5,000 square foot layout.
Oh, wow.
So
and where are you at?
I am
generally
Minnesota. I'm in the North Metro
of
Minneapolis.
Yeah, north of Minneapolis.
Okay.
The club's in Coon Rapids. Yeah, there are a bunch of guys that.
Is there a prototype associated with the club, or is it kind of everything?
Yeah, it's it covers from the Twin Cities up to the North Shore in Duluth area, and then over into St. Cloud. They're not very typical about what era they're running. We run just about anything and everything.
Yeah, Keith, yeah, that makes it a little more fun for people that may not be running the era that, or have the equipment that's the era of the club layout.
And more frustrating for the bolt counters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the river counters probably start twitching and stuff when that happens.
Yeah. Well, what do you have a specific prototype that you model?
The layout I'm putting in this where I am right now, this room, it's a freelance. I do run some prototypical. I've got Milwaukee Road is one of my favorites. There's a lot back there.
You run any particular era? It looks like, from what I can see in my very small phone screen, I'm seeing diesels over there.
Yeah.
There's some diesels, but there's 3 steamers.
Oh, okay.
That one. I just actually acquired this one just recently. I've been trying to get it for a while. This is Milwaukee Road 261. It runs up here in Minneapolis.
Nice.
What is it, a BLI or what is it?
Yes, it's a BLI.
Cool.
There's stuff over here that's unpainted. That's going to the home layout. This is the layout is the Great Northern River Valley Railroad. That's going to be a little bit more prototypical. It's like what am I doing? 1958. So it's a little bit combination of steam. That's what the 2 brass ones are for.
What are they?
The bottom one is a 460, and the upper one is a 464.
Are they like West Side models, or do you know what manufacturer?
I think the bottom one's West Side, and the the upper one is United.
Okay.
I want to say.
And then you're building something, it looks like right there behind you. Dennis thought that was a 3D printer for some reason.
Well, I thought the whole thing was, but as mentioned, I had a different pair of glasses on, and that's all I can do to see anything.
Oh, pickle. Oh, I like this.
Okay, cool.
Oh, nice.
There you go. That's pretty cool.
And all that is scratch?
Yep.
Outstanding.
So now on your barrels, are those solid pieces of wood?
The inside is
The like dowel rod?
yeah, there's a 1.25 inch dowel rod inside. It is a little bit
Yeah, like a clothes hanging rod.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then all the boards around it are individual.
Oh, okay. That's what it looked like, and that's why I asked that question, because I thought it looked like you had built all those with staves.
Very nice.
So
that would be kind of my next question. I like to ask the question, what kind of model railroader are you? Which means different things to different people. So are you like what do you enjoy most about the hobby is maybe how I should ask the question.
a little bit of everything, actually. I do like the scratch building. It's kind of a challenge, but I also do craftsman kits.
Nice.
Oh, there you go. I like that.
So, actually, this is my second scratch or craftsman kilt that I ever built.
Is that a Foss?
Yep. Class scale models. This is one of their free kits with no instructions.
Yeah, definitely a Craftsman kit then, and no instructions.
Yeah.
I've got 6 or 8 of their kits that I haven't put together yet.
So this is
That's a
another
cute
one.
little.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, no.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it survived.
Is that also Foss or?
Yep, that's also floss, another free one.
I like that one.
And then
A little cafe.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a walk-up. It's a walk-up, yeah.
yeah,
I remember those back in the day.
on this one, the shutters are scratch built. I added, it's not part of the kit, I added them.
Cool.
And the awning over the side door. Yeah, this one's not quite finished though. Awning on the door.
You say you made the awning as well?
Yep.
How did you do that?
It is just paper, but then there's a wire frame underneath.
Brass wire or
Piano wire.
piano wire? Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yep, that's
Because
good.
Yeah.
Almost every building on my street row in Silver Gulch has an awning of some kind. And that's one of the things that I'm going to have to kind of figure out how to do is to scratch build an awning.
Yeah, that reminds me of my childhood when we'd go to get tacos. They had a taco stand in our town that was like you walk up to the window. And here's the thing, if you're really old, if you remember McDonald's before they had any seating area inside, you walked up to the window. You know, the original McDonald's were all like that.
Yeah, I didn't live in a town that had a McDonald's until like 1985.
I do remember those, Claude, as well as
Yeah, that was back a ways.
Made right burgers, where it would be like the ground beef just with seasoning slapped on a bun.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
We had a Dairy Queen.
But yeah, I like those kits.
Yeah, I've got quite a few Fosses. I also I've got D.E.S. I bought a bunch of the BTS in an auction. I do a lot of auctions. I buy most of my stuff I bought through auctions. Lately, I bought a few stuff from now Caboose Stop Hobbies, which I got to blame Bill for.
Yeah.
That's
I
fun.
give too much of my money, but it's so much fun.
I know, it is.
Bill's getting to be kind of like Heath now. We're going to blame Bill for everything.
I aim to please. Hey, your pickle factory, is that modeled after a prototype? I know Minnesota has an export of pickles. What was it? Get me, something like that. The Minnesota pickle. I remember those commercials from way back when.
No and yes. It's not, I don't know where it is. Okay, Grandpa Rails. It's actually produced, there's a kit that's like it, that's produced. I kind of liked it. I can't remember where they said it's from, but this one I added a couple more barrels to it than what their kit is, and so it's just kind of based off of that one. I kind of liked it. Kind of like the platforms and stuff that are on it.
Makes for an interesting industry. You like comment was you just don't see those. You see pickle cars, for like older era, but nobody's really done a whole lot more than, hey, here's a pickle car. What's the industry that supports the pickle cars? So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I know there's a manufacturer. I forget who. It might be Foss. I can't remember, but there's somebody that does have a pickle
American Builders
or whatever.
American
Who is
Builders.
it?
Yep. Because I got one of their. It also would kind of help me build the kit. I also have their conversion kit for the flat car for a pickle car.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, really nice.
Oh yeah. Now, see, I've seen lots of pickle cars, like Bill was saying, but I've never seen anybody have a kit out that actually had a factory of them or whatever.
Yeah, American Builders has a factory, And then actually, since we already mentioned it, that's where that kit, they also have that platform style kit.
Yeah, that would be an interesting industry to research. I don't want to take us down a rabbit hole, but think about it. You've got the farmers that would grow it. How do they get that to the market? How do they get it to the railheads? And then the pickle cars, going to a canning factory. There's a lot of possibilities there that I don't think really too many people have explored. They're kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got all the stuff to make the brine and stuff to pickle them in. So you got to bring that in and have that where you introduce it to the cucumbers. But yeah,
lots of vinegar.
Would make a good.
What the brine is some kind of vinegar.
It's vinegar and something. Yeah, I'm not sure. I've not ever looked into it. But
yeah, they call that a salting station. From what I've kind of picked up on it, they'd send the pickles and the brine to the factory, and they'd use that to make. They also use the brine to make condiments and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I might have to explore a little bit, maybe on that next HO piece that I try to build. One reason why is I love pickles. Any kind of pickle. Dill, sweet,
I'm not a pickle fan.
Hot pickles.
No.
I love pickles.
I love pickles too.
I like a good dill, but that's about the only ones I like.
Sweet pickles.
If it's a cucumber,
I'll eat it. Pickles.
Yeah,
that's about it. So your layout itself, Dave? What kind of footprint? How far along are you with it?
Right now, I've have no track work up. I have a few pieces of bench work. I still got to get back to putting that up. Where I am now, right in front of me is this layout will have a helix. Evil word. I know some people don't like it, but this one will have a helix. It'll be 2 levels. So this room is, I want to say, if I remember right, it's 9 feet by 15. And it's divided.
Close to the same size I am then.
About like a spare bedroom, give or take.
Yeah, it's got a wall that kind of divides it, and the area that I'm in right now, where my computer's set up, where the helix would be, is about a 5.5 foot by 9 foot area. This area will be all my staging, and the helix. And the other side of the room will be all the layout.
If you have a 2-level layout, it's almost impossible to get there without a helix of some sort, whether it's visible or not. It's got to climb up there somehow.
Yeah.
Unless you hide it underneath the second level, which is essentially what I did.
Yeah, but you still got that going. Oh, you're talking about how you ran it long distance.
Yeah.
And I've seen them go, they've got enough space, go way down and come back and climb the entire way. I've seen that happen too, which is kind of what I wanted to do, but there just wasn't enough space to do that. I still would have had to double back 2 or 3 times to get up there. But yeah, that's.
Let me. Trying to find something here.
Looks like we've got Kyle Stevens has joined us, and if I remember right, Gary, Big G's Railroad.
Yeah, Gary's here.
He's got a nice in-scale layout. Yeah. Morning, welcome.
Hey, Dave, while you're searching for that, I've got a question. What is D.E.S. Media Production? Why is that your?
Okay, I was wondering if somebody had asked that. Okay. D.E.S. stands for Dave's Extreme Scratch Builds.
Okay.
Because I do, I like doing scratch builds. 1 second, I'll be right back. John, Grandpa Rails asked me to bring this up. I'll be right back.
Well, yeah, after seeing these others, I want to see what he's going after now.
So I think I know the answer to my question of what kind of model railroader is, and he's a modeler first, probably railroad enthusiast second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I am too. Modeling is what drew me to the hobby more so than trains drew me to the hobby.
Okay. So John, JD asked me to show this. This is my very first scratch build.
Oh, nice.
Well, that's nice.
Oh yeah.
I've been in a few of those kind of barns.
Yeah, it's not quite done yet.
Now, did you have any plans to scratch build it with? Do you have like maybe intimate construction knowledge, or how did you come up with the model itself?
Okay. This was supposed to be, I started this 2 years ago. It was part of Jack scratch build. And so I decided, I was making stuff, and I went on, and online I found a barn with just what you see actually right now. And so I was kind of looking at the photographs and getting an estimate of the size. And then I went on and found some stuff, and I actually found the actual blueprints. So they're actually off the original blueprints for the building.
I was going to say that as good as that, you almost had to have something.
Had plans, yeah.
Yeah, so I actually have the actual plans for it.
Yeah, that looks great. That is a fantastic scratch build.
It's a little. I altered it a little bit from what the building was, because the upper part of here there was an open. This was actually in here was open on the upper level, and it wasn't built for animals. It was built for a special occasions, like for weddings or stuff like that. So it was all.
So was your plans based off of a modern build?
Yes, actually, the actual prototype is in Texas. I found out.
Cool. That's kind of, to me, one of the struggles with the scratch building, like with what I'm doing. Pretty much all I have are a half a dozen photos from 1906 or something like that, and you just you can't see every aspect of the building to know how it was actually constructed.
That one I got lucky that I found the prints on it. Excuse me. The pickling platform, that's just there was no plans for it. I just saw what they did. They also sell, I kind of cheated because they sell the individual barrels at American Builders. And so I bought one of those and just took the measurements kind of off of that and figured out how big the barrels were, and then went from there. And then drew up my own plans. There's actually, it's not done. This platform here has a covered roof over it, and this one has a shed on it with a covered roof. That goes, sheds on this side, and then there's roof over the rest of the platform.
How long has it taken you to build to get to that point?
This point took me about a month and a half.
That's not bad. No,
I've a lot of the wood came from Northeastern Lumber Company, I think it is. They're pretty good. Their turnaround's really fast on if I order anything. Yeah, it's fun. It's been fun, challenging. The first barrel that I did for it, I glued each of those little strips of wood on, and that was a pain in the butt. The rest of them, I used transfer tape.
Yeah, I've got a Master Creations kit of the Como roundhouse, and the doors on that roundhouse are wooden, and they're like 1x4, I think, something like that. Maybe 2x4s is what they used on the real house, but they've got scale lumber to build the doors one piece at a time, and it's talking about tiny, meticulous.
Yeah.
And yeah, it'll look really good, but boy, it takes almost as much time to build the real thing.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but I'm with
What's
Lynn.
going on with my cold trestle? Pretty much all of it is board by board. I've got part of it. I've got some sheeting material that I was able to use, but I didn't have enough of it to do everything with it. So the majority of it's board by board with sketch plans, Oh, cool.
So here's the layout. What I have planned so far. This is the lower level. Right in here is where I am right now. This white area is where my computer is set up. So this is all staging. We have the helix. Where's my structures? Okay, this here is a sawmill and all its outbuildings, and everything in here is the maintenance facility for the lumber company for their own engines and rolling stock. This section is a switching area. I got some of the buildings planned, but they're not shown. This might be a little bit changing. This spur right here is where the pickling station will be going, is in here.
What your grid? What size is your grid at the moment?
I think the grid is 2 inches per square.
Okay.
So yeah, and then let's take these out.
I like how you've got the helix and the staging back in that room where you're sitting now, and it allows to have a lot of industry on the outside of that.
Now, I presume you're going to have to do the dirty crawl to get back there every time. Is that?
Yes.
Or is there a lift up somewhere that I don't recognize?
No, there is no lift out. It's got to do the dirty crawl.
Yep.
Okay. Pop this
out. Jason wants to know, Dave, if you're going to be building your own turnouts and stuff.
Yes, for the most part, yes. I do have a couple of jigs for the fast tracks.
People look at that if they don't get into it or haven't gotten into their layout and stuff yet. They look at those jigs and see how expensive they seem to be, and they aren't cheap. But when you realize you're unlimited then on how many turnouts you can make, as long as you can get rail and a few PC ties, you can make as many turnouts as your heart desires.
Yep.
And so the more you make, the less expensive that becomes.
Yeah, the bigger the layout, the greater the cost savings for sure. Mine paid for themselves just in my staging yard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've built a couple of them I played around. I also, a couple of them that I've made, I've used their Fast Tracks paper, the paper
Yeah.
copy of the turnouts and stuff. And so far, they turned out pretty good. This is the second level. It's in the early stages. I haven't decided what is going up here exactly yet, except for one thing. This is right above my workbench. This will be the lumber camp for the lumber mill. And so, but yeah, so the second level is not quite planned for yet. I'm still working on that, figuring out what I want to put up there.
Is that where
Is
the pickle factory is going to go?
Say again?
Is that where the pickle factory is going to go?
The pickle factory might, yeah, most likely be going up here.
Gotcha.
So is that a second staging yard up there?
Yes.
Okay, over the top of the other one?
Yep. Just a little bit smaller.
What's your plan for turnout control?
I'm still looking at that. I'm probably I've had on our it's probably going to be controlled remotely. I'll probably be getting into JMRI. I have a lot of resources. That's what we use on the club layout. All the turnouts are controlled by solenoids, which so makes that most likely is the way I'm going to go also.
I was going to say, if you know your panel for your staging there would, at least my way of looking at it is, I wouldn't want to have to do the dirty crawl to throw any switches for sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm curious.
they'll be remotely, and then I'll have cameras set up in here so I can monitor it from outside in the train room.
Jason also wants to know if it's going to be DCC or LCC turnout control.
It'll most likely, I'm leaning toward DCC. The LCC I haven't really looked into very much, so that's being scaled which way I'm going to go.
And I don't know enough about DCC turnout control to even offer opinion about it, but I have strong opinions about the LCC control.
Okay.
Oops.
But yeah, that's what the plan is so far for the layout.
There we go. Well, looks good. I mean, you're going to have, no more space than you've got. You're going to have quite a bit of running room there.
Yeah.
Of course, you've got a full loop. I didn't have a full loop. That was my biggest drawback. I'm about the same dimensions as you are, one way and then another, but there's a big corner on the opposite side of that I don't have. So mine's an L shape, and it's it was a little more tricky to get what I wanted in it.
Yeah, I've dabbled in Arduino. I seen Bernard's question. I want to get a little bit more into it.
Yeah, I looked at Arduino for about 2 seconds and then said no.
Yeah,
My brain doesn't like that.
I don't mind dealing with electronics. I've had experience with electronics and working, so I have a basic knowledge of it to, I think, get me muddled through it.
Yeah, LCC probably wouldn't be a thing for you then if you're familiar with electronics. And as far as the configuration goes, the way I have always looked at it is, if you can do conditional formatting for cells in an Excel spreadsheet you can configure LCC. To me, it's that simple. Once you understand a couple of the concepts of how it works, it's no different than I want this cell to equal this when this happens.
Yeah. If and or if or whatever.
Yeah. And it's really not even that. I mean, the whole if things with Excel is like another level than conditional formatting is simple. That's what this is just conditional formatting. That's the way I view it anyway. Jason might have a different opinion on it, but that's how I view it. Am I sending a command or am I receiving a command?
Yeah.
Or
well,
that's the LCC why people don't like you to use the word command. It's an event.
Well, that's why I went with what I did, because mine's not running on the DCC either, even though I run a DCC layout. I don't use any of the power from the DCC to do my turnout. So that's all a separate
which is
entity.
Absolutely an option as well. It's just a matter of how far do you want to run your wiring to your toggle switch.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot easier to hit the switch on the control panel and turn that than it is to, okay, now have to remember what number switch is it that I want to change on your controller. And that's what you got to do with DCC. I'm sorry, Bill, I started to cut you off.
No, that's all right. I was going to say, I go like old school. I use no electricity. I've got these two little pinchers that do my track for me.
Well, that's an option.
Right, but you're not doing a dirty crawl anywhere.
No, I've got access.
The second you have a turnout,
I've got access to every switch, and it makes me get up off my butt and walk around to follow the trains.
Yeah, I've got several in frying pan that are way far out of reach,
Yeah, there you have to have some automation
to
throw the switches.
Yeah, I've got one at the top of the summit on mine that the tortoise is on one side of the mountain and the switch is on the other side of the mountain. And I had to use a long push rod to get there. And of course, and then it curves around, but it works, and that's where my airplane building stuff helped, because we use that for controls all the time. So that came in handy for that. But yeah, I wanted the same thing, Bill. I wanted to walk around with the train, throw the switches as I'm there, like a train crew would do,
Yeah.
Back in the day before CTC, they had to get off the train, go throw the switch.
Yep. Yeah.
So
again, another facet of the hobby, for me, it makes it more interactive with what I'm doing, because I'm the one that's like, okay, I've got to plan the route. Like, how do I get the train from here to here if I've got a lot of switches and I've got other cars that are blocking moves? So, I've got to manually throw to make it go where I want it to go.
Yeah.
But I guess that doesn't take you out of the illusion of running the train at all?
Oh, no.
It kind of does. The second I have to draw my attention away from what the train is doing and start looking at which point has to go where for what, I feel like I'm no longer driving the train. I feel like I'm doing something that I'm going to get wrong anyway.
And for me, it's sort of the opposite. Where, again, in the HO scale in particular, because that was built just
that's pretty complicated.
And with all of the track and it's 4 by 16 feet, and I've got 42 switches in there, multiple locomotive escapes, different things. I wanted that so I would be immersed. Like, okay, if I'm switching this, how am I going to do it the most efficient? So I want to be part of that, which means I do have to get into the weeds with it and actually throw the switches. I got to go from here to here to get to here. And then I got to go to here to get this one to go back to make up a train so that I can, build it to exit the yard.
The way I view that, that same thing still exists with my layout. Yeah. It's all done up here though. And then once you figure out I'm going to go from route 1, I'm going to cross over to route 2. I've got to make sure that the east crossover is not engaged before I get there, because if I do, I can't throw the switch into the west yard. So the mental process of how I'm going to get from point A to point B still exists. The only difference is that once I've made that decision up here, I push so far in my layout, I'm pushing no more than 2 buttons to manipulate, up to 5, maybe 7 different switches.
Yeah.
I push 2 buttons, and then it's all about watching the trains and not about watching or doing anything on the layout itself. My hand is not reaching into the scene to destroy the visual of what's going on there, other than I still have to decouple. That's the one thing because when I originally started, I was all about, I am going to no hands in my scene whatsoever.
Yeah.
The 050 will not exist. I will not throw any turnouts. I will not uncouple. After multiple tests with the uncoupling, I just decided that was an unrealistic expectation.
Yeah, I figured I'm going to be like the Monty Python's Flying Circus, Hand of God's going to and I was like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and I am too, but I love not having to throw switches and not having to worry about, because I've said it before and I'll say it again, and I really mean it. I will look at a switch. I've got a 50-50 chance of getting it wrong. I'll get it wrong 90% of the time. But if I configure it right in the LCC, it will always be right. It's unless I look at it and then make the decision to push the button, then I will be wrong 90% of the time.
Yeah, that's true. So Dave, how are you throwing your switches in? Are you going to do yours by hand or?
Nah, since this area is going to be my staging, and it's going to be the hardest. I'll probably be going with the servo switches.
Even the ones you can reach in the area that's not staging, those will also be remotely operated.
Probably. We'll see how much I get annoyed doing the staging area.
Yeah.
It's an early. We'll see how it. I mean, I've done them, worked on them on the club layout, so I know the basics to them and stuff. So it's just okay.
They're labeled. I still get it wrong.
You have to be able to read the label, right? Yes. Well, there again, that dichotomy shows you what you can do with the hobby. I mean, it doesn't always have to be done one way. It can be done.
Whatever
the only thing you have to do that's the same is have the train on the tracks correctly. That's the only thing you have to do. Everything else is, your choice of how you want to do it.
Yeah. It's whatever works for you and it works best. That's the way to do it.
That's the way to do it. And you like it, and it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks.
Yep.
Especially the one in your home. Now in your club, you got a club. Now you got some more, people that you got to please. But in your own, there's nobody you got to please but yourself.
Yeah. I'll be interested the first time I have more people over to operate than myself to see if it's as intuitive as I believe it is, or if people go, what? No, just let me do this. Because I feel like it's relatively self-explanatory, and there's not a steep learning curve in how to do it. There's only like one little quirk, and that's you better make sure that east crossover is where you want it before you pull into the area where you've got. I think I can put 4 cars in that one area that I might need to run around, and you better know whether or not you need to run around before you get there.
Yeah. Excuse me. Man, something in my throat. I saw a question on here I was going to put up here and I can't find it now. Where'd it go?
So, Dave, what are you currently working on? What's your, if you have a priority for the layout right now, what's the priority, just out of curiosity?
Well, this was my priority because this was actually supposed to be for another one of Jack's competitions, but I didn't get it done in time with the deadline. So now that's kind of I want to get it done because this is actually going on the layout.
Yeah.
So I want to get this done, but I'm not being rushed to get it in by the deadline.
Now, do you have plans to build all of the structures first and then lay the track? What's your process for that? Because that's another kind of one of those people do things differently. I try and have all of my stuff mocked up before I lay the track, or at least, consider that. What's your thoughts on that?
I think I'm going to be doing, because I have a general idea of the bottom area where the switching area on the first level, that's going to be kind of changed because I know what kind of buildings I want. But I'll probably build that and then decide what buildings I want to put into it.
And then lay the track. The track will come after the construction of the buildings.
Well, I think the construction of the buildings will be after the tracks are laid.
Okay.
But I'll have a general idea of the buildings I want. A lot of them are going to be craftsman kits. I know that. I've already got quite a few of them. Like the sawmill, I already have that as a kit and have all buildings for it. So that'll probably be, plan is to build that after the track's laid in. And then see once the track's in, because the track, okay, it hasn't been mentioned, but I'll mention it now. The roadbed is splined homosote, 1/2-inch homosote in 2-inch strips. And then all the rest, the scenery and stuff, that'll be all filled in with foam board.
Have you got any of the roadbed laid yet?
No, I don't have it laid yet. I have it cut, and so I just got to get the bench work up so then I can start laying down the roadbed.
Very cool. I love spline roadbed. What radiuses do you think you're gonna have with that? Because I think when I did my research, I think there was 1 or 2 people that were using homosote as spline, but they had a much bigger space. What radius do you think you're going to be able to get?
I think my smallest radius is 20-inch. Most of them are running around 22.
That 1/2-inch homosote will bend to 1/2-inch.
Oh yeah, it'll bend.
Cool.
Because it's laid on its sides. It does. So then you got 3 layers. Hold on a second. I'll be right back. Now that I think about it.
Yeah,
I've heard that you can actually soak it first.
Well, you wouldn't have to soak it. You could put kerfs in it.
Or put kerfs in it, yeah.
Because I did the same thing. I was when I first started getting back into it, I was going to make all my roadbed out of homosote, and I looked into buying it from Cascade, somebody or other on the East Coast or the West Coast that made the turnout pads and actually made the spline roadbed and all that.
You're talking about the actual road bed, though. You're not talking about the spline.
No, I'm not talking about spline. I was talking about the road bed. But to make that curve, because once I put your bevel in it and that stuff, to get it to curve, you had to put kerf in it.
Yeah.
But you can do the same thing with spline. You would just kerf part way through, and then it'll bend much easier. Same way you do wood. If you're gonna bend wood like that, you either steam the snot out of it and then bend it, or you put kerfs in it and it goes a lot faster.
But basically, the road bed will be 2 inches high and 1.5 inches wide. 3 layers around each other, and then screwed into the sides. That's the way we did it on the club layout. So it beds pretty easily. So you just take each layer and clamp it together and make the turnout, and then you screw it together.
Do you use glue too, or just the screws?
Just the screws.
Just the screws.
That would make it easier, I guess. If you redo something, you can unscrew it and then reuse the sub bed.
Yeah. The radius on the helix. Oh,
Jason,
making me. You want me to think? I think.
John Tanzilla said he used masonite for the spline on his 2 helixes.
Yeah. John's got a really nice railroad.
Yes, he does. Very nice railroad.
I haven't decided whether I'm going to have a helix or not. I still got the whole top level.
You've got enough room to climb the wall around if you plan.
Well, but what I'm going to climb up here is only going to go to this corner over here. What I'm thinking about now is actually having a lift out over here and then have the capacity to run a continuous loop around the room and then a helix on the outside of the building, or the room, not the building.
Yeah.
I'm still that's still a long ways away. I want to concentrate on what I got right now.
Okay. The outside radius of the helix track is 26. The inside is 24.
Yeah, that's a good radius.
Yeah, as long as you don't get too much percent of grade in there, you should be good.
Yeah, I think,
and your era is not running real long cars anyway, so
no.
Of course, what did you say the wheel configuration of your BLI was?
The BLI is, I didn't say that one. That one, what is it? It's a 484.
484.
Yep.
Oh, 484. It's a mountain. Okay.
Yeah, that'd probably work just fine on a.
Well, that mostly would be run on the club layout anyway.
Okay.
Because they restored it. It's in Minneapolis. It does excursions through the area, so that's why I really wanted to get it. It's local.
Oh, so they're still running that on the real railroad?
Yes. The 261 got restored. It's an old Milwaukee road, steam locomotives. They restored it, and it runs excursions throughout the year, except during the winter.
Mark corrected me. You're right, Mark. It is. It is a northern, not a mountain. That was my screw up today. I was calling it.
You're only allowed
a mountain.
You're only allowed one.
Yeah, well, especially once the wife gets home.
Yeah. I'll admit that I can't keep track of what the names, other than the Makito, I know, or Mikadu, however you want to pronounce it. I know what that one is. But other than that, I can't keep track of the name for the wheel configuration and the American. I mean,
yeah. Speaking of which, he's home. Let me shut these doors so the dogs won't interrupt us. the dogs get crazy when somebody comes home. They heard the garage door, so. Yeah, I used to know all those back when I was in high school. I was into it that much. I knew all the wheel configurations. I knew all the diesels that were out up to that point. Don't have any idea on the new stuff, but I'm not interested in the new stuff. I like the older diesels. But I couldn't tell you the new stuff.
Same way with me. I like the transition era diesels are my favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that was, did we show that last week? The F unit that I don't know if we did. Let me see if I can find that. Jerry had gone train.
Oh yeah.
Train watching. And I thought he sent us a picture. He did show us a picture. I think I showed this last week. Let me get it on here again.
I thought he went training stuff after the show, and that he sent his, or was it during the show? I can't remember.
No, it was, he went a couple of weeks ago, I think.
Yeah. I don't remember seeing that in last week's show.
I don't either. I remember talking about it and saying he needed to send us pictures, but I don't remember actually seeing any during the show.
Okay. Let me get this open real quick. This is where I need a whole bunch of different, okay, can you see that now? I can't tell if that's on
Yeah,
there.
we can't see the picture big, but we can see it.
Okay, well, yeah, for some reason it won't go on there. Anyway, yeah, that is an F unit that he found, and I don't even remember who it was. Let's see, that's Reading in Northern.
And where is it at? Is it like?
I don't know. He didn't say. But it's a Reading in Northern, this particular one, and it's an AB unit. I think it's a B unit. Yeah, it's a B unit behind it. Which is, you just don't see those anymore except in a museum.
Mm-hmm.
They're rarer than steam engines on a real railroad anymore. You just don't find them very much.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat might know who it is. Or where those are, but we'll have to ask Jerry next week when he gets back. Dwayne says, what did he say? Central Pennsylvania. Oh, Central Pennsylvania bought
Norfolk and Southern's F units.
Okay. Yeah, it's I can still remember the Super Chiefs coming through, just above Cajon Pass when I was a kid, and I was just enthralled with them when I see them. But of course, when you're a kid and you're standing on the platform and one comes in just a track away from you, it's an experience when you're young.
Yeah,
for sure. Jason says the Branson Scenic Railroad uses an F9 as one of their locomotives. I've not been on that one yet. I don't know if I'll ever get on it, but yeah, it runs from Branson to.
How did I miss that the last time I went to Branson?
Runs from Branson to, and correct me, Jason, if I'm wrong, down to Van Buren, Arkansas, which is down close to Fort Smith. I believe that's the one he's talking about. The one in Eureka Springs, they've got one too. It's not an F unit.
Been on that one.
Yeah, that's a very short ride.
A real short ride, turn around on the Y and come back. But it's, still a nice.
Were they still running steam when you rode it?
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm old.
They were running steam when I rode it. It's been a while back. But what was funny, when they got down to the Y, they told all the kids on the train if they wanted to get out and be in the steam of the when they did the blowdown. I don't think they realized how wet they were going to get.
No, I think that when we went on it, I want to say it was a switcher of some kind that pulled us. Now that I think about it,
Yeah, this was a steam train because I remember it goes downhill first and then back, uphill going back. And I remember going down it, they were just on the brake all the time. And I thought, this is, it's doing this constantly. I mean, backward and forward because they're going down and hitting the brake and it's just taking the slack out and all that. And then going up the hill, it was a nice smooth ride going back up, but it was only 2-3 miles. It wasn't very far.
Yep.
And I don't even know if they're doing it anymore there. I think last time I was there, they had a dining car there where the station was, and they were using it as a restaurant. So
Okay.
that
I want to
would
say
make
it's been about 3 years, I think, since we went.
Oh, it was longer ago than that for me.
Yeah.
Probably 15 years ago, something like that. Well, we're out of time, guys. Dave, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
And
Well, thanks for having me.
yeah, love your kits that you're building, especially your scratch builds. That barn is pretty cool.
Look, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Keep us updated on the progress for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one I got to get back to. I want to get it finished, but I want to get this one done first. Like I said, that's actually going on the ladder. I'm not sure if I'm putting the barn on. That was just done for the contest, and it's a barn. And if I decided to put it on there, I'll put it on there.
Yeah, well, it looks good. It really does. Well, thanks to everybody in the chat for being here this week, and we'll be back again next week, I'm pretty sure, unless something happens. Dennis and Bill, Dave, thanks for being here, guys, and have a good weekend and a great week, and we'll see y'all next week.
Yep.
Take
Thanks
care.
for
Bye, all.
stopping in, guys.